Hello there. Hello, good people, and welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're new here, my name is Jazz, and these videos are simply a series of videos based on the questions I get from my Instagram family. So if you're interested in submitting a question, you can put one in the comments below. You can follow me on Instagram and DM me. My DMs are always open. Love having conversations, love working through things, talking through things, all the things. I just feel like I gotta say that. Because I know you people out there on the YouTube space, y'all don't know me. Y'all don't know me, but you found me. And I am happy to have you. So let's get into it. So I'm going to put this thing, or click this thing, whatever, here because we're gonna take down my hair. So I curled it and I'm hoping it came out right. And so we're gonna take down my hair and chat. So today's topic is forgiveness. And you're probably like, Jazz, what are we going to talk about? I don't know. The person wanted to know, how do I forgive? What's my take on forgiveness? How have I gone about forgiveness with all the things that I've been through? And honestly, we just gonna walk through it. I can't say that there's anything formal about it, but we're gonna walk through it. So I haven't had the most traumatic life. Have I had some traumatic things happen? Yes, but nothing that would, you know, top a Color Purple movie or anything like that. However, have my feelings been hurt? Have I felt rejected? Have I been betrayed? Have I been lied to by people I loved and trusted? Yes. And I feel like we all can relate to that, right? For those who don't know, and if you've seen other videos, you do know, I was married. We were together for 10 years. The marriage ended, not by my choice, but because I just was no longer wanted anymore. Not only was I no longer wanted, I was lied to, cheated on, the usual stuff. But in that, I had two children, all right? So, guess what I had to do? I had to work out some type of forgiveness. Now, I'm good at what one would call pseudo forgiveness. And I've had to check myself on this. There were a lot of times where I thought I was being a forgiving person, but really I was just devaluing people. That's basically what I've done over the years, over my entire life, even in childhood, um, when I grew up having issues with my mom, and other family members and all that kind of stuff. To be completely honest, and I love them to death, but the only way I made it was constantly telling myself that I was smarter than them anyway. It's like, yeah, I'm smarter than you. I just need to grow up. Yeah, I'm tougher than you. I just need to get taller. It's like stuff like that. And so even as an adult, there were a lot of times where in order to keep from going off and to function, I just made up whatever I needed to make up in my mind about you so I could feel better about having to be in your presence or having to work with you. Why is that a problem? Because you end up skating past doing the actual healing work. So while it's a good temporary fix to kind of get through the day, at some point you're going to be alone with yourself and you're going to be reminded of what actually happened, and all the feelings are going to continue to rush in just as if it happened on the first day. So how do we get past that? Well, you got to first acknowledge it, right? You got to first be honest that this person hurt me. This person pisses me off. I hate this person. Like, you got to say those things out loud so that way you can deal with them. Okay. And I know sometimes that's hard for, especially my good old religious Christian folks, because, it's like you got to forgive because the Lord says to forgive, and He does. Hallelujah. Okay. He does. He says to forgive, but we can't forgive what we don't acknowledge. We can't forgive what we don't confront or put out there. Okay. Especially if it's something that's like bogging you down, right? It's not a thing where somebody stepped on your toe or, Maybe they scraped your car door or something like that, where you don't necessarily have to confront it head on. It's like, God dang it, that was crazy, and you can keep going. But some things, if it's something that has you waking up in the middle of the night, not able to show up at the functions, not able to smile when everyone else is happy, then you need to confront that thing head on. Okay, you got to confront that thing head on, because it's getting in the way of you having the things that you want to have. If it starts getting in the way of your joy, if it starts getting in the way of your peace and all of that, you got to just lay it out on the line. Okay, and then when you lay it out on the line, start looking at the parts, and this is where it gets hard. You got to start looking at the parts where you can take accountability. Now, there might not be any, right? Like, there are some things that people do to you that's just like, yo, what the hell? I was sitting here minding my business, right? But before you jump to that conclusion, look at the parts where you can take some accountability. Did my reaction match what happened? Have I always had something kind of against this person anyway? Are there other ways that I could be dealing with this? Just shoot yourself some questions, some self-assessing questions, because if you can find alternative routes, if you can look at things beyond the surface level and say, you know what, it's something behind this, right? So, yeah, they lied to me and they stole from me, but it's also a thing where before they did that, I was always side-eyeing them anyway. I was always kind of looking down on them anyway. I've been low-key waiting on them to F up so I can have a reason. You got to be real about that. You got to be real about that. Again, it doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you human, right? It makes you human to have these feelings, but you got to be real about it, because some stuff, yeah, it might take a little longer for you to forgive, but I ain't gonna lie. Once you start getting into that, 5 year, 6 year, a decade, I mean, unless they unalived, I heard that's the word you got to use for social media. I don't want to get taken down before I get started. Unless somebody unalives somebody in your family or something like that, or, just brutally graped. I heard that's another word we have to use. You and all these kind of things. Let's start to, decide how much energy are you giving this. Now, when I say forgive, folks, I gotta get this out of here too. When I say forgive, folks, I am not saying that means you all have to be the best of friends, because you don't. Okay? I'm just saying that no one should keep you from enjoying life, keep you from walking into spaces, walking into rooms. So I'm going to tell a story. And I feel like it's been long enough time where I can tell it now. And a lot of people who know me know the story. So I said earlier in the video that I was married and everything for a while, together for a while, not married for that long. And when we got together, we got married. I did what any woman would do, especially in a religious sense. I joined my husband's church, right? And so in joining his church, I grew to love it, right? We were pretty much like one of the few young families there. We had 2 children. It was a ball, a blast, right? Then I, felt the call to ministry. So I joined the ministerial staff, got licensed, all that kind of stuff. And I love preaching and teaching and all aspects of ministry, right? And I'm doing that. And it's crazy because literally 1 year after I got licensed to preach, my marriage was over. Literally 1 year after I got licensed to preach, my marriage was over. And it was jarring because, remember, I joined this church when we got together. So this is his family's church. These are my in-laws. These are my newfound distant relatives. These are my children's family. And my marriage is over. He is no longer coming to the church. I'm still trying to show up and be the minister that I'm called to be. But I am heartbroken. I am heartbroken. I am angry. I am embarrassed. I really wanted to like get on that mic and be like, hey, you all raised a jerk. Yeah. I wanted to be that person so bad on the inside. And of course, I would never do that. I would never disrespect the house of the Lord. I would never give room for that kind of thing. But with that, that's part of the reason why I left for a while. Because I couldn't take it. I couldn't handle doing what I had to do because I was so angry, so bitter. I didn't want my marriage to end. I cried. I had begged at one point. And then even when I wasn't begging anymore, it seemed like it was just still so much drama and bad energy, and I was just so over it. I was like, Lord, why would you allow me to get licensed at this place just for all of this to happen to me? Right? So not only am I upset with my husband, I'm upset with God. I'm upset with myself because I feel like a complete dumbass for not paying attention to the red flags, right? Not being more aware of who I was and who I was to become, to where I wouldn't even get with a person like that anyway. I was just angry at everybody. And I just, I was trying so hard to find in my heart to forgive because we also have to co parent, Thank God he's an active parent, terrible husband, active parent. So it was challenging for me. And so I did take time away. And I think it's good to do that. But at some point, I had to ask myself those self assessing questions that I talked about. I had to ask myself, what is really behind this anger? Besides the obvious, besides the being walked out on, lied to, cheated on, embarrassed. Those are the things that everybody can see and everybody can visibly understand. But what are the things? What are the things that I'm not really addressing to where simply walking in a space? Now, mind you, he had stopped going to the church for his own personal reasons, nothing to do with me, because he kind of stopped going before he left. So again, I'm like, what is really stopping me from still going here and thriving? Is it, because I'm reminded? Because of course it took some people some time to realize what's going on. So they would innocently ask, like, oh, where's your husband? How's he doing? And I'm like, I don't know. Don't ask me no shit like that. Like, that's what I really wanted to say, but I didn't say that. Of course, I would just be like, well, probably somewhere at his parents or something. Like, I would just give like some real general-esque answer, right? But I struggled, and there was really no reason for me to struggle. So then I had to go a little deeper. Again, what is this about? Well, even in me being embarrassed, I had to be honest, and I really had to tackle this in therapy too. Sometimes forgiving people takes therapy, and that's okay. I had to be honest about the fact that my marriage was over even before I got licensed to preach. It was some things that took place that maybe I'll talk about someday in the future in some videos. But it was some things that took place that my marriage been over. It was low key over before it started. Like, and I knew that, but because I had some other issues, my home life and all that kind of stuff, I probably talked about it in a previous video. I was too busy running from something that I ran into something worse. And so, truth be told, I felt a lot of relief when he left me. A lot of people don't know that. When he left, I actually, woosah, okay? My pain and my anger, truth be told, was because I was embarrassed at the fact that I knew this wasn't about to work. I knew I was better than this. I knew I was caught up in the wrong situation, just trying to give my kids this life that I never had. I knew it. And I still allowed myself to be played. I just got to the place where I shut down and chose to do this and focus on my family, my ministry, my goals, to where nothing he did mattered. I had lessened him in my mind to where nothing he did really mattered to me until it got too big for me to ignore. And me taking that accountability and me saying, you did me wrong. You treated me poorly. You disrespected me. You stole from me. All of that. All those things are true. However, I knew from jump that I was better than this in the first place. I knew I didn't take you serious a long time ago. You understand? So now we have our children, we co-parent. And though it's not my favorite thing to do, I can genuinely say I have no animosity. There's only one thing I'm still teetering about. I'll talk about that in a future video when I'm over it. But when you hear it, it's like, girl, shut up. But I seriously got to the place where I could forgive him as soon as I accepted my part in it. I think that's basically what I'm trying to say, is that you can get to the place of forgiveness faster the sooner you accept your part in it. The sooner you accept the part about you that makes the situation bigger than it has to be. The sooner you accept the parts about you that's really not just angry at the person, but also angry at yourself. The sooner you accept the parts that say, I'm not just angry with this person, but I'm also angry with the surrounding parts and the surrounding situation. Some of us have beef with family. Some of us have beef with people in the church and all that kind of stuff, not so much because of the incident itself, but because of the surrounding key players who really played a part in this person being what they are or doing what they're doing. We all know that it's always the person who's the problem who gets the most help. It's unfortunate, it's not fair, but it's the truth. The person who causes the most hell is going to get the help. And if you're the oldest, you definitely know this to be true. Your younger sibling can set the damn house on fire. They can forget things, they can mess up, they cannot do so well in school, but somehow they get the most help. If you even do a fraction, just a mustard sized seed of what they've done, people would look at you like you crazy, and you definitely wouldn't get the same help. You get scolded. I can tell you that. Probably get punished or something. So unfortunately, to whom much is given, much is required. When you have the eyes to see better, the eyes to do better, the mind to know better, you're going to be held more accountable. It's not fair, but those people who genuinely believe they're right, or they have kind of skated by and doing some BS, they'll have their day. But you being aware and conscious and capable of doing the inner work and recognizing what's happening, it's up to you. Forgiveness is a journey and it's yours. Nobody can rush you or anything like that, but understand that if you want peace, you'll work toward the forgiveness. Forgiveness, as cliche as it is, it truly is about you and not the other person. And that doesn't mean you have to smile every time they come around. I do not grin from ear to ear every time my kid's father comes around. Okay? I don't. I mean, I give my cordial, hey, what's up? I speak about the things we have to speak about. Every once in a while, now that we've been apart for some time, we might crack a half-ass joke. But other than that, I don't owe him any joy or happiness. I don't owe him anything. But I do owe myself just the peace. You owe yourself that peace. You owe yourself that joy. Don't keep isolating yourself and putting yourself in a box because somebody else is stupid. And because people allow them to be stupid. Because one day, they're going to look around and they're going to see how much peace and joy you were able to muster up without them. And they're going to be sitting over there in Stupidville together. Everybody has to face what they've done at some point. Even if you feel like, you want to see it happen faster, or you feel like it's not a harsh enough punishment. Trust me. People who constantly do other folks wrong, people who drastically change the trajectory of other people's lives are not at peace, I promise you. It might look like it. It might look like they're prospering. It might look like they have everything at their fingertips. But I'm telling you, when they go to sleep at night, when they're alone, when somebody asks them that one triggering question that brings up all the things that they've done, trust me, they are in a constant mental battle to keep the mask on, to avoid shame, to avoid guilt. You don't have to worry about that. And you're only a victim as long as you want to be a victim, because the past is no more, the present is now, and the future is bright. The future is bright. The future is bright as long as you keep looking forward. So I hope that answered your question. And if you made it this far, go ahead, like, share, and subscribe, comment. Again, head on over to IG or drop your questions in the comments, and let's make some more of these videos, okay? Have a beautiful day.